Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Spooky Spirit Shooting Gallery. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. It's spooky season once again, and on the menu this week we're looking at Spooky Spirit Shooting Gallery from developer Enhart. Originally released in Japan for the Nintendo Switch in 2021, it's now available in English as of April 2023 courtesy of publisher Axis. So this game basically takes like an arcade light gun shooting gallery experience and brings it to the Switch, primarily using gyroscope controls for your Joy-Cons. It's a lot of fun, and if you like that kind of thing, especially during the right season, I think this is a great game to play, but maybe not at full price. That said, let's dive into the game. You can kind of see what's here and decide if it's a title for you. So initially, we've got a couple modes we can play the game in: Carnival Mode and Party Mode. Through some unlocks, you'll also be able to unlock the Spirit Stairway Challenge, which is kind of like this continued mini-game challenge, so that I would highly encourage you to get to the point where you can challenge that, but for our purposes today, we're going to primarily look at the Carnival Mode. Once you activate the Carnival Mode, sometimes you'll be getting some spare change, and the whole idea here is that we've got these tokens that are going to be used to purchase ammo in the shooting gallery. So you've got a couple ways you can earn those. There's a lottery which comes up every 15 minutes, and when you have that available, you can spin a wheel which will give you a ball for some free tokens. There's also all these missions that we can play through, things like playing the Carnival Mode, getting like lots of tokens, as well as defeating certain kinds of enemies, and if you complete all of the missions, you can actually unlock unlimited bullets so you don't have to worry about tokens anymore. For our purposes today, though, we'll go ahead and play the game. You can play up to 3 players. Unfortunately, not 4, but that's all right. Once you've selected your player count, if you've got your controllers already set up, we can dive right in. If you're playing single player, you can also play in handheld mode. It's just something to keep in mind. So there's 3 different machines we can choose between. These are basically kind of like choosing your arcade slot machine, as like you've got the characters in the game, the aunt and uncle that are going and telling us, like, I'm getting chills just looking at this one, or oh, this one looks fun. For our purposes, let's go ahead and play the one that he's getting chills from. Then you choose which particular slot you want to be. So there's the pink on the left, the blue in the middle, and the green on the right. To keep things simple, I'll go ahead and take the pink on the left, and player 2 will take the green on the right. Now we find ourselves actually in the shooting gallery itself. So in order to fire shots, we have to load tokens from our bank as is. You can see how many tokens we have total in the top left, and then from there, we can continue to shoot at the various snacks and prizes on the stage, and as we defeat those, they'll knock down and give us the token values that are displayed there. So as far as our different ammo types are concerned, we've got our 3 different bullet types we can use. There's Cork, which costs us 2 tokens per shot. So it's going to be your cheapest shot, but it's also going to be your weakest. Then we also have Silver Balls, which cost 5 total tokens per shot. These ones do provide a little bit more of a hit, but they're of course more expensive. And lastly, we've got Rockets. The Rockets will zoom towards your target and provide a decent impact, but sometimes I don't feel the impact is good enough for what you get, especially if we're costing 10 tokens. Throughout the course of the run, we'll occasionally shoot objects which are haunted or possessed. That's the whole idea between the game itself. As you defeat those ghosts, they fill up this gauge here in the top right. And once the gauge is completely full, as it is now, we end up going into a boss, basically kind of like a boss rush mode. So could it be? Yep, the shooting gallery is indeed haunted. We get a cool little Japanese live stream-esque look there, and then we start the actual haunted house itself. So initially we get to choose some power-ups based off of how many ghosts we defeated. So the number of ghosts that each player defeats will be the amount of special power-ups they can draw. And then we're moving through here with all these different ghost types. Some will just be these like orbs in the background. Others will be possessed like snacks or other like Japanese like haunted spirits, as it were. For every ghost we defeat, we're able to get tokens, and we do often start with, well, if we're lucky, with something like a free power or a free or unlimited power up from those orbs. Ultimately, we'll find ourselves like getting through the path itself, getting to the boss, and the goal is to go and defeat the boss as quickly as possible. It is possible to lose like this mode if you're out of like credits and you don't have any defensive items, so keep that in mind. Towards the end, I would recommend switching to some of the more powerful ammunition, such as the silver bullets, or the rather silver balls, or the rockets for the boss in particular. Oh, I don't have enough spirit seals, so I can no longer get power-ups, but player 2 still can. So real quick, talking a little bit about the gyroscope control. So the Joy-Cons are using gyroscope controls for your aiming, and that's like important to note, as sometimes I feel like that's not necessarily like the best for this kind of experience. If it stays like homed incorrectly, or if you're staying like homed correctly, then it works pretty well. But in a situation like where it like starts to wander, you have to rehome the your aim, which can be done with just a single button press. So it's relatively straightforward. But it's just a frustrating thing when you're wanting to be shooting forward and you suddenly find yourself aiming off to the left of the screen. Or the right. You get the idea. There are a couple different buttons on the controller that you can use to fire. You can use either the right trigger or the A button, depending on whichever you feel is more ergonomically appropriate for your gameplay style. So we've made our way to the boss. So here we'll like see soon which boss we through. There are several different bosses throughout the course of the game. You're not always going to get the same one. So for our purposes today, it looks like we got the Severed Soul Spirit. So in this case, it's not as exciting as some of the other ones. This is a big orb. And it's dealing quite a bit of like damage to me. And all right, boss defeated. And that's the Haunted House mode. So it's really one of the fun elements of this game is playing through it and seeing which bosses you encounter. You can encounter a lot of these other bosses through the minigame mode as well, so that's one way to experience it. Once like everything's complete, you get the awesome bonus, especially for the character who defeated the boss, as well as bonus items. And rinse and repeat. We're back to the shooting gallery experience for the game. So here we're going to take a second to jump back to the main menu and look at the party mode. So in party mode, you can play several different games, either co-op or like potentially competitively. So for our purposes, we'll be playing co-op rather than versus. You can choose 1, 2, 3, however many we want. So we'll just simply do 1, 3, or 5, like an odd number for however many we want to play. So we'll just random and see which we get. For this one, we're basically using kind of like instead of firing individual shots, we're using more of a Ghostbuster like laser to shoot like the duck and, well, hatch enough eggs. It's actually pretty fun. You'll see right off the top. We just need to defeat it in a set amount of time. And that's an example of one of the mini games in Spooky Spirit Shooting Gallery. Once finished, we get our results, and we can move on to even more. So it's really just kind of a fun way to kind of like break up the gameplay from your main shooting gallery mode. So, and there you have it. That's basically Spooky Spirit Shooting Gallery served up for your enjoyment. So as far as like the minus flavors are concerned, really with this kind of a game, you kind of know what you're getting into. It's one of those ones where you're gonna, like, if you enjoy light gun titles, then this is one that you're gonna go and like, but if you don't, that's definitely one that you should go and pass. So here's a quick shot of what the lottery looks like. Getting 5th prize, so not the worst, but not great either. As far as things that I do kind of feel are relatively negative about it, so you do have some issues with the overall gameplay being relatively samey in this one. You're not going to get, after a few times, you're not going to get a whole lot of different experience from the gameplay. And ultimately, it can get a bit frustrating initially, trying to build up a reasonable amount of tokens as you are constantly running out of tokens and not being able to progress through the various shooting stages as efficiently as you might be looking to. But as far as the plus side is concerned, I definitely think this title is just a lot of fun, especially in the right seasons, to just sit down with and have fun with a couple friends, just playing through an arcade game in your home that happens to go and have a little bit of a spooky theme to it. And so, definitely at a little bit of a discount, this is a recommendation from the chef. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's spooky episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you again next